so funny. We were talking about.
Well, I'm recording right now. Are you going to make an announcement? Are you making an announcement? You're not making an announcement. Okay. So you are. No, you're straight.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, you're not making an announcement.
No, I am. Yeah, I'm straight. I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's yeah. I was on point, guys. Just know this: he's not making an announcement. I was on point. Just so you guys know that.
I was gonna type "I'm gay" into the Discord and see what happened, and just the revelation. Like, what's that? That movie.
Well, we have guys that do AI art now, so there would be an immediate response to you being gay.
That was wild, dude. That was fucking like it was like it wasn't not cool, but it was like also not. I don't know. It was just like, what? Damn.
I've never thought about legal counsel before.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
it was clearly in good fun, but it was,
like, no, he's not bad. The guy who did that, I was just
cool.
like, somebody else could be not good and do this.
Yeah.
And I was, it's the quandary, right? It's the quandary of like, this is cool. However, what if somebody hated me?
Well, also, yeah, exactly. No, and also, I'm like, which program are you guys using? Because I'll try and do like, I'll try and do like, hey, do Travis Kelce in a bunny suit for like one of our things or some bullshit like that.
Yeah,
and the one I use is it's like, sorry, you can't do anyone or anything that could hurt anyone's feelings ever. And it's like, god damn. And then meanwhile, you're getting like rocked on fucking like like road work with like a 8-pack abs and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it. Not making me look like the judge in Blood Meridian.
Yeah.
From the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, I can't do that shit. And I don't never vote, cause I'm fucking broke. And either way, I know the police ain't gon' leave me alone. On a plane by to visit Glen Rock, need crypto told me I should bring the Glock with me. So I packed up my piece and I'm sliding. Cause we might get caught up in a riot. Middle finger Trump, middle finger Biden. Fuck a left, fuck a right, is you riding? Know you love to see it, dudes rocking. Ain't no politics, baby, we just talking. From the birds to the bricks, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. Who you with?
But speaking of which, I gotta promote. We haven't done a solo in a while. Solo feels like a little like, hey, the gang, hey, meet up. Let's have a meetup, guys, when we do a solo episode. And we
also, by the numbers, man, like, we are way more popular. I'm shocked by how popular just people want to listen to you and me do the dumbest shit that we do. You know, it's kind of funny.
I think it's
amazing.
People do like a solid fist bump. Now that they're like a solid, like just yes, okay, cool. Like they get to be themselves. And it's not that we're not ourselves around guests, but we're never more of ourselves than
exactly.
It's just like this. But I will say the last 3 episodes, it's 3 to 4, right? So 4 episodes. Let's say that's much. There's an episode with Jeremy Lafredo, where we really clamp down on foreign affairs, a lot of stuff like that. We like to get that out every so often. That's a great episode. But
shout out to the king.
Source material wise, in the last month, Lord of the Rings, Blood Meridian, and Prince's entire discography. Yeah. Just a round of applause. Just a solid round of applause. Even if you hate that, even if you're like, wow, those 3 things are my least favorite things of all time, you got to at least give a little credit for somebody to actually go through all of those.
Dude, I'm saying, yeah.
Round
of applause.
I mean, if that's your 3 least favorite things, I honestly like to.
Well, I
don't care. Yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, we don't want you. But no, I was laughing just as a host, the journey this show takes you on. I'm like listening to the rave unto the fantastic while reading the fucking Blood Meridian. It's like the biggest juxtaposition of all time.
Dude. It's a trip. It's like, you'll be like doing like Lord of the Rings audiobook while I'm on my walk. Like the whole thing is a Truman Show thing now. It's all just one kind of like the camera is always on, but in like a good way because it's all stuff that I want to do. And I'm one of those people that works well within structure if I create the structure.
Yeah,
like I work really well, and I'm like a super structure guy at that point. But when somebody else is creating the structure, I kind of like feel out how the job is besides what they want from me, where I'm like, okay, what is this job really like when they create the structure? I'm one of those people. I'm not meant to work underneath people. I've realized at this point, even though I am a good employee at my company, but it's just Yeah, no,
No,
I know you saw my review. I guess yeah. Like C's get degrees, right? That's the way I look at it. But I was wondering too, like, you know, I know we're doing the right things because synchronicities are popping up because we do the Blood Meridian episode. Everybody's got a Blood Meridian take. We're not the first person to do a Blood Meridian episode. In fact, we're like the 9,000th. However, first off, I think we have the best Blood Meridian episode. That's just
100%.
just me.
It's
It's just me.
100% we do.
Like subjective. However, when you're in the amethyst crystal realm,
Not
that
only
is
funnier, more entertaining, but more on point of actual
yeah.
Blood Meridian takes. Dude, come on. It's like
It's fact laundering. We do fact laundering, like where
Yes.
it's like it's all fun and games, and you're like, that's actually something.
Plus, where else are you gonna
It's
get the
actually
Cormac at Buffalo Wild
Buffalo
Wings,
Wild
dude?
Wings,
Just
yeah.
crushing, fuck yeah.
Well, I was thinking about it because there was a woman who tweeted literally the reason I'm saying the synchronicities are lining up is right when we dropped that episode. A woman who this is not related to us. That's why it's a synchronicity. This woman who's just like she does one of those things where she's like, I'm gonna lay down and take a selfie and post about books.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like look. If she started a book club, it would mog ours because guys are passionate about hearing women talk about books. Women that can't finish half of them, but they do it just because you know what? It's for you that they finished it. I finished it so you don't have to. That's the way they look at half these books. And so she had said like she tried to impersonate Cormac McCarthy, this woman. She tried to be like, and then a brush fire happened, blah 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 blah. Guy scalped.
It was a whack recreation.
She added a comma. Somebody called her out. It's like you called a comma, so it's you already fucked up trying to impersonate him. You tried. Again, I've on record saying that book's not for women. Now, some women have read it, and there's people who go, "No, I'm a woman. I could read it." That was a challenge to you. You succeeded. However, most women, it's not for them. And like if you succeeded, that's cool. You've passed an extra security clearance in the Andromeda Strain lab. Like you're good. I like that. That's sick. Like you've solidified.
We'll send you the Discord link.
Exactly.
Yeah. Come on in.
Yeah. Now buy some RC merch, take pictures, promote it. But at that point, like that's cool. Now McCarthy talks about that book. And I'm promoting this. This is a promotion. You guys need to go listen to that. It's on our Substack feed, rarecandy.substack.com. But McCarthy talks about it like it's nothing, like as though he just wrote a book and he's like, I just thought it was a bunch of cool stuff to put in a book. You know, like he talks about it like that. That's clearly not the case if you read a word of his text of what he writes. I mentioned on the episode, and David was really J. David Osborne, agitator. He was really nice in saying like, Glenn, you nailed the book. And I didn't know how to take it. And I was just like, I don't know that I did. Cause I want to read it again. You know, like I feel like there's still about 30% that I'm missing from that book, but I appreciate what he was saying. Yeah. Now I then what I did was like beta Catholic self-hate thing where I was just like, I huffed computer cleaner in high school, you know? So why would I understand a book like that? Even though I think I did. What if that's the trick? What if Cormac McCarthy was just like, look, I don't want to say it. Like Oprah asked him, like, what are your books about? And Cormac McCarthy was like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but like go to Fry's Electronics, get some fucking computer cleaner and read Blood Meridian.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that did. We're going to get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode.
Exactly. You cracked the code.
Yeah. Like, what if that was the thing the whole time? It's like, you'll understand the judge if you just get a paper bag. If you find somebody over 21 to buy it at Fry's Electronics since the high school kids, led by Glenn Rockney, aren't they've made it put behind like what we know now is normal in San Francisco behind like protective glass.
Yeah.
The dust off computer cleaner. That's how you read Cormac McCarthy. But exactly.
Dude, that I feel that first of all, just huffing weird shit, like that was our era, dude. That was our. It came and went. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's
You can't huff things anymore.
No, yeah.
I mean, you might. You know what? To be honest, what if huffing comes back because is computer cleaner going to have fentanyl in it?
Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
What if there was? What if they're like, damn, we found the sickest thing for the new Apple plugins? It's fentanyl, and it cleans. And it cleans out the new lightning thing that they have.
Oh God, yeah, don't get me started.
Oh God, I know. Like, what if they were like, oh, they're huffing it? Why are you huffing it? It has fentanyl in it. It used to be fine. You used to be able to listen to Andre Nicotina and get like a 2.3 in high school. You know, like you used to be able to do that. We used to be a proper country.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. But we did Prince. We did Prince's catalog. That one is like, I felt like we almost had the first contact moment with aliens. Like after that, like it has that
was
kind
a special
of feeling.
one.
I can't stop listening to him. Usually I'm not burnt out, but I usually shelve the artist after a while. When we do a full thing, I'm like, okay, we're done. You know, like we're done for a while. I'll come back in a year. I'm still listening to Prince. I'm just like,
no, it's like I said at the end. I feel like we're just getting started. You know, it's like
exactly. So that was great. Again, that's split in 2 parts and stuff. And then Lord of the Rings has been was really fun. We're gonna revisit that for 2 Towers. I think that was quite fun. I think that's quite a prescient book when you actually reread it in your adult years. And I'm glad to see people that I know that are around the circle are picking that book up again and stuff. So that was great.
I missed that one. Need to get on that.
I love it. It's
what do you think of the movies?
I mean, the Peter Jackson movies are great. I've always loved them, and they're still great.
Yeah.
The one I didn't realize was the Ralph Bakshi animation was just unbelievable.
Is that like 70s?
78. My mom said people used to go trip out, like, and go see it at like midnight stuff, like a couple of years later at like midnight screenings. But I wouldn't, dude. The way he does the Black Riders, the Nazgul, in animation is scary. It's like, no, it's legit. It's Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings. If you haven't seen that, if you think it looks hokey, it is not.
Damn.
So yeah, exactly. So look, solo episode. I feel like this one's gonna get banned from YouTube, but I'm gonna put it up. I'm not editing it. There's just a lot of stuff popping up of things you can't say on YouTube, which is becoming more and more things. And shout out to the Rumble-leavable Warriors that have been on our the Hawaii Rumble Warriors. That have been
Hawaii Rumble Warriors.
that have been, people don't know that about Hawaii football. They used to be the Rainbow Warriors, and then they were like, that's gay after a while, and then they took so there's the Hawaii Warriors now. University of Hawaii. But the Rumble Warriors have been really showing out for us on there. So even if this gets banned from YouTube, I know that we'll have a Rumble-leavable audience waiting for us. And because I have a lot, I'm just looking at the itinerary. Gardasil, whoa, that's crazy. Can you talk about that? Lab-grown meat, mRNA. Wow, I guess we're going to talk about all that stuff today. But first thing I wanted to talk about was I think the worst type of person in the world, when we're not talking about like violent crime, but just like regular, just annoying crime, is somebody who's educated beyond their intellect. Now, we tend to work for those people because the number one job for a person who's educated beyond their intellect is like a manager somewhere. So they end up being in charge.
The midwit meme.
That's the problem with the midwit meme is it's actually a power chart. It's actually a pyramid.
Yeah.
Even the left and the right are still on the bottom of it. The midwit meme, the top is the guy is on top.
Yeah, it's like a funnel. It's like a multi-layered kind of.
It's annoying. It's annoying that happens. But I saw a post and it was just like an engagement bait post. And look, I took the bait because it's a real thing. There's a guy who said you can never be overdressed for a situation or whatever, and then you can never be overeducated. And I disagree with both.
Yeah. The fucking the suit guy.
Daily Wire ass motherfuckers, dude. Like, come on.
I'm just saying. It's like I don't want to say that wearing a suit all the time is never cool, or that no one could pull it off. But why is all the guys that want to do that, they
Yeah.
rock this dumb, like, tweed Canadian Jordan B. Peterson-esque suit or something,
Yeah.
dude? It's like,
with like Jordans, like,
yeah, I
randomly.
know,
You're like,
dude.
come
It's never
on.
like a clean, like Daniel Craig 007 suit. It's always like some corny
Yeah,
ass,
and it's
like,
never
fucking
Daniel Craig.
I
It's
know.
like it's literally like Michael Cera. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like those type of guys that want to
yeah.
do it, and they think they're Daniel Craig when they
I
do it.
know, dude. It's crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's never that.
Yeah.
It's never Steve McQueen. It's the guys that
No.
think they're Steve McQueen. It's the guys that think they're a suit away from Steve McQueen.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, dude,
Like
you hit the
you're
nail on
not
the head,
you're not a suit away.
yeah. Yeah.
That's just the way I like that. It's you're a
Dude,
lawsuit
we could
away
do it,
and
man.
millions
We
of
could dude,
dollars.
if we
Yeah.
had a suit arc, like, maybe 5, 6 years, we're pulling in $200K a month, dude, we could rock some fucking suits,
Dude,
dude.
when
We
we
would
cut our
clean.
hairs, when we both
Yeah.
cut our hair, there's definitely going to be a short hair like Prince style short hair
Yeah.
arc in this
Or even
podcast.
like, you know, when Jimmy Page went half short, that kind of
Yeah,
thing, you
yeah,
know?
that
Like,
was tight.
I'd be down with that,
He's
you know,
got
but
curls though. You have curls too.
girls,
I don't have curls. I can't do it.
yeah,
I
you need,
can't.
like,
If I
you
go
either go, like,
here,
full Black Sabbath
yeah,
guitar
yeah,
lead, or you gotta
yeah,
go short, yeah.
exactly. I have to
Mhm.
go like straight up like Ryan Gosling short or this.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
yeah, no, I 100% the suit, the tweed ass,
mhm.
fucking like
Yeah.
1978,
Can
you
you
know, like,
do girls
PBS.
do that? Like, because it's all in relation to women, right? Like we agree that this is, even though there's money
Yeah,
involved and career involved, it's still like men are still judged by their ability to attract women for the most part. And even
yeah.
with it, like the chasing the money half the time is just
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're in better proximity of the, you know, the unobtainable woman apparently.
Yeah.
But is there a woman who's just like turned down a guy because he was not wearing a suit? Like, I don't think that happens anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, you've made swag, like errors in swag way before that. The
It's
suit.
funny how there's no yeah, yeah. Yeah, airs and swag where
Mhm.
yeah, it's like either your last dying breath, you reach for the suit or something. It's funny because there's so many everyone's critiquing, you know, there's always the we're too casual, everyone's just wearing yoga pants now. And then there's and then there's like like the 45-year-old streetwear guy, you know, like the
Oh
streetwear
yeah.
Reddit
Yeah.
r/streetwear,
Uh-huh.
um, which is like
Michael Rappaport.
I was into that. See, I had like a couple years where I was kind of like getting a few of those looks and stuff, and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
kind of cool. It makes me feel good and stuff. And then, but then like never the full on. Like I never went full streetwear, dude. Never go full streetwear. And then, but it's funny is like, what is good today? How do you look good today? You know, it's like without being too. You can't be too earnest, which is a big thing. I think that's a big problem. And you know, earnesty and sincerity are like punished, but it's the worst crime on the internet now is being earnest or sincere about anything. You know, it's like everything has to be like
Yeah.
being made
Uh-huh.
fun of or like,
Mhm.
oh, look at that, that's dumb or something. But
Yeah, exactly. There has to be layers. It's
yeah,
insulation. It's yeah,
yeah,
100%. No, I what so I was, this is gonna, people can clip this, but I was doing a job like by a high school.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, it was a trip because like, you know, I was expecting to see like libs of TikTok, like pink hair, like yeah, like soy jack, like kids walking around everywhere, and dude,
yeah,
they all dress like maybe 2006 is back. Like
yeah,
maybe that's the trend in high school, but I was like, dude, this is a time capsule. I was like, these kids
hmm
all look like us
yeah,
when we were in high school. They're all wearing like regular shit. That late 90s, like early 2000s baggy aesthetic is coming
yeah,
back. Like kind of new metal's coming back a little bit, but that's just still the like goth kids that are doing that in high school. You can tell the average kid's just wearing like a zip up hoodie, like jeans
hmm
and some like maybe some skate shoes. Maybe so, and then you know you get the kind of like the athletic kid with like the sweats and the Jordans and stuff. And like other
yeah,
than that, like it's kind of, I was like, man, not much has changed there. So I don't know. But I do, you can always tell those guys who are like, don't work out, don't do anything, but they think it's all in the fashion sense.
hmm
They think
yeah,
all their money's made there.
yeah,
And it's like maybe with your job, I guess, but even then, am I gonna be like, man, I wasn't gonna invest in this company, but this fucking fat busted biscuit can like ass dude like was wearing like a nice Brooks Brothers suit, so I will then invest 6 figures in this company. Like I don't know.
yeah, It's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild. My girl was saying that because she does some substitute teaching and shit, and she was saying that she was working like with some toddlers, but it was part of this other program in like some high school thing. And some of these other like high school girls came in, and one of them like took off her jacket, was just wearing a bra, and she's just like she went to her manager, was like, "Is that cool? Like, can they do that?" And they're like, "Yeah, we don't have dress codes anymore. They like run the show and shit." And it's just like it's like that Seinfeld episode, you know?
Yeah,
They're joking
exactly.
about that, and it's like, damn, it's like, are we just not? We just don't have any authority over what young people do anymore.
Remember what they
It's
used to
just
do
like
to
no,
girls? Remember what they used to do to girls? And like when we were in school, they'd make them do the hands at the like the arms to the hips, hands down, and if the shorts didn't go past the fingertips, which is crazy because you might have some like defensive end women out there secretly with like 36 inch
Crosby,
arms.
dude,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Where she's just got to wear a trench coat at that point. But either way, like for the most part, it was just like, do your arms go here? Oh, like, no, all right, you need to put on these. And it would always be like the haggard ass, like has been like PE clothes that they would make them wear when they would break the dress code, which like at the end of the day, the funniest part was they thought they were stopping a 16-year-old boy's libido.
Yeah. I
By
know that
doing
was
that.
clearly,
Yeah, it was like dog, a Glad garbage bag, and I'm still, like,
we all know it's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
that was always the funniest when they were just like,
Garbage.
yeah, like Kirkland, whatever, just
Yeah.
any kind of like just a massive poncho, like it wouldn't have mattered at that point. But yeah, exactly. But the educated beyond the intellect, that's the worst employee to have, and it's the worst manager to have because they can you imagine hiring a head coach of a sports team who thought he was meant to be the owner of the team?
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at their credentials, you're like, why would you? It's actually a shock that you have what you have now. You don't know how to do my job. Every job now is based off surveillance and analytics now, to the point where it's like, it doesn't matter if it's the skill. Even my job in construction, it's all about like response time, all these like crazy metrics, these KPI, all these insane things to where they can audit it with the pizza pan like server laptop thing where they walk around with the laptop. They can do that.
Yeah.
There's no being a manager now. It's all for people who think they're in the minor leagues of like ownership. And it just seems like people are overeducated, and then they're like overdressed, and then it gives them even more of this like grinding, like I'm grinding, I'm like, bro, like they're hating on me and stuff. It's like, no, like you got a degree, you have all these decorations, and nobody fucks with you. And so they give you this manager position because it looks good on the company to be like, well, this manager went to Cal Berkeley. Like it's good that this happened, that this fucking same day shipping company has a manager from Cal Berkeley. Anybody who can read a 6-digit parcel number and put it into a bin can do this job and manage it effectively. But it's really good that we have this guy who thought he was going to be launching spaceships.
No, it's
like,
crazy.
Yeah.
I think about my dad, who was always kind of like antisocial and was just like, fuck it, like did his own thing and was honestly very RC coded, I think, and pilled. But when it comes down to it,
I would
makes
love
sense.
to interview your dad. I would love to interview your dad.
Yeah, but I remember he would always say all this cryptic shit. He'd just be like we'd be talking about that or some like weird, like again, person that thinks he's way smarter than he is, and my dad would be like, "You're gonna be dealing with with people like that for the rest of your life."
I know.
And I was always like, "What? Come on, what are you talking about, man?" But he's like, "No, trust me, dude." And then of course he's always right about that kind of shit. It's like,
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I just think there's more of this weird, like I feel like that's the trickle down now. When everybody talks about like trickle down economics, and I know we don't necessarily have that. Like we have way more bureaucracy and things like that. But like the trickle down thing we get is people who paid $250,000 to go get this degree for this and that, or are still paying it off, and then we get like this manager, this like 75 80K a year manager who thinks he should be making 250, and it just kills the morale of the entire company because that guy feels slighted. And it's like, we're supposed to feel slighted. I'm the guy who's supposed to feel slighted, the guy who's working. And the manager's supposed to kind of like, oh, good, he's working today. At least,
No, it's crazy.
at me as an effort giver,
They
will
make
be
slightly more
rewarded.
money than you. They do less work, are dumber than you, but they still feel entitled for more. And it's just like, what? Yeah,
They're fighting their own journey.
Yeah,
and it's sad. It's sad. I would say this. This guy's just a pure alpha. And I went to go get a new iPhone over the weekend. It was time. I went to go get one over the weekend, and I was reminded of the late great Steve Jobs, and he had a take on this very, very, very thing that we're talking about.
That stage in Apple where we went out and we thought, oh, we're going to be a big company. Let's hire professional management. We went out and hired a bunch of professional management. It didn't work at all. Most of them were bozos. They knew how to manage, but they didn't know how to do anything. And so if you're a great person, why do you want to work for somebody you can't learn anything from? And you know what's interesting? You know who the best managers are? They're the great individual contributors who never, ever want to be a manager.
Facts.
But decide they have to be a manager because no one else is going to be able to do as good a job as them.
That is the most factual statement I've ever heard about anybody who's ever worked in a work. And I get it. People will be like, well, that was the business owner. No, he's correct.
Dude, you can't say that in Silicon Valley anymore. Dude, you probably couldn't even say it back then, No. And
he looked sick with the Ashton Kutcher casting was on point for that.
On point.
Michael Fassbender was the better Steve Jobs. Nobody wants to admit that. He was amazing, I thought, but Ashton Kutcher looks like him.
No, that was great. That was an amazing clip. And it's absolute facts. We've all had that when you get like a new owner in your spot or a new person comes in and all right, we're just gonna be making a couple changes, like that. You're just like, oh, fucking A, here we go. It's never good,
No, the worst is when they pause it, like they come in and they go, "You're not even gonna notice me, dude."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just fly on the wall. Fly on the wall.
I'm here, dude. Business as usual. I'm coming to a working project. That's what I'm coming to, and you're like, no, you're coming here to like make your little mark.
Yeah.
Oh God, I had this one manager who was like, he was younger than me, and he wanted to call me buddy, which I hate.
Oh, red flag.
No, I told him straight up. I just straight up told him I'm not your buddy guy, like basically South Park essentially. But I just straight up told him like, no, like I got a name. Jim Croce. I got a name.
Yeah.
And that song starts playing. And I was like, that's not gonna happen. I understand whether you mean that like condescendingly or not, or it's just like a compulsion that you have to say that. Don't say that to me. And anyway, he was one of these guys. He looked like late career Marlon Brando, but at the age of where Marlon Brando was prime Marlon Brando. So he was 27 years old, but he looked like Island of Dr. Moreau, Marlon Brando. And
Island of Dr. Brando, dude.
Yeah, and he would have just these white shirt. It would be sweating inside the office. White shirt, fat guy sweating. That white shirt turns into basically overhead projector slides, the laminated sheets like that. That's what that looked. Yeah, it looked terrible. And he would always tell you that the job, whenever he needed something from you, it was what you could do for the company. But whenever you needed something to do your job well for the company, he would say, "Look, dude, it's not a career."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like
I'd be like, so, but you need me to treat it as such, and you need me to treat it like that. But he was this guy. He would listen. I was reading one time, Gain of Fiction, not to brag. I was reading one time. We were waiting for like a call to come in for our services, and I was reading, and I cannot remember the book I was reading. I want to say it was Marathon Man at the time, but he looks, he goes, "What are you reading?" I'm like, I immediately don't want to explain this book to him. But whatever. I just tell him like, and he goes, dude, I listened to like Malcolm Gladwell. And like he's like this, but he had one. It was like, you ever listen to Sapiens? Yuval Noah Harari. I was like, yeah, that's like the fucking thing I have a podcast against.
Yeah,
that book. That guy was the worst. Literally, if you
you like books too? Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, if you look at the blurbs for Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, it's just like Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab. Like it's just like all these like this
the blurbs. Book. Yeah.
This is the best book ever. Yeah, like major key for me, Bill Gates, like
we're literally, it's like everything we stand against, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, okay. And I asked him, like, what do you like about that? And you could tell he just has them on mechanically. He doesn't absorb them. He puts them on because he was told in this like Andrew Huberman style way of like, this is what you do to be great. And sometimes it's like, you're just not great. I don't know. Like, I just hate to say it. Like, sometimes you're just not great. Sometimes that I'm not discouraging people from reading. Read fiction. Fiction will get you where you need to go. And fun nonfiction, not fiction, not nonfiction that you think you're required to read.
Pop nonfiction.
Exactly. Like you can read some good nonfiction. I'm not hating on nonfiction. There's stuff that guys think that like, well, I've done this, I've read this, I've dressed like this, therefore I will then be Fortune 500. You're like, no, it's not going to happen.
Even if you do become that, it will be some hollow. And I'm honestly, I'm kind of a sucker for some self-improvement shit. Not like the pop, like what's Emo Garfield tweeting about the whole like the title subtitle genre that we have. Did you see all that? Where it's just
I know what you're talking about. Yes,
like Never Die. How one thing made me this and this, and it's like they all have the same kind of title. It's always like some like white cover with like a pin dropping on it, or like a fruit or something, and it's just like some cheesy. And it's like you don't even need to read it to know that it's just trash. You know?
Yeah, it's just like a clock. It's like a clock, and then like an orange. Yeah, and it's not a Clockwork Orange. But it's a clock and an orange, and this is how you make $5 billion. Exactly. And but one thing that's going to bridge this next subject to this subject we were talking about to the next one, Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs died of cancer, and everybody loves to dunk on the billionaires, the crazy eccentric billionaires who tried to do smoothies, and herbs, and all these things to beat cancer. Instead of microwaving their entire body like you're supposed to, and putting your body through the Vietnam War.
If only he did that, he'd still be with us.
He would be with us, guaranteed. And oppressing us, and then I would hate him still. That we'd be doing all these things. By the way, the iPhone would still have a wired connection if Steve Jobs was alive. I'm calling that right now. He understood. He just look. Do I love him? I have a respect. I think like if you're going to be like the massive mega billionaire, I think he was about like the coolest style of guy you could be to be what he was. I think that was the apex of that. I'm not saying I approve of everything he's done, but I just
I got to interject one. I have one little factoid about him that's fucking sick, dude. Did you know this is a California thing too, where he got a brand new like Mercedes CL600, whatever basic Mercedes sedan he drove. Luxury car, nothing crazy, but definitely a nice car, right? And he got a brand new one every 6 months.
That's
only because that's the exact amount of time you can drive without a license plate in California. He would just rotate them, dude. That's so sick, dude.
CHP just seething.
Exactly.
But
that's what that's for, dude. That's what being a billionaire is for.
And that's what when people hate on him, they're like, it's actually Steve Wozniak's company. It's actually Steve Wozniak. And I go, you think Steve Wozniak would have put together this? Dude, do you actually think if Steve Jobs never intervenes, because people view him as the Twilight Zone Rod Serling devil that intervenes with Steve Wozniak's beautiful company. It's like, no, Steve Wozniak did exactly what he was supposed to do. Steve Jobs did what he was supposed to do. And now we have, look,
100%.
We're kind of Luddite. We're kind of Luddite. But if you're going to make tech, I actually do like what Apple does. Like, I don't care.
100%.
It's way easier than anything else.
Steve Wozniak was not doing shit, man. I got respect. He used to come in my first ever restaurant job. He would come in, order a tuna melt. I would look at it. It's like, hey, this dude's clearly a genius, but he's not creating Apple, dude. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, he's sweating. He's sweating through the white shirt all day.
100%. Yeah. Projector.
Yeah.
Al Davis.
Big Al Davis firing Lane Kiffin overhead projector with amazing. But Steve Jobs died of cancer, and that's forever an own that the leftists have over him. Even though I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm pretty sure he did okay in his life. But King Charles now has cancer.
Oh yeah.
I've been looking into this King Charles thing. King Charles, this was a RC bat signal that happened. King Charles was diagnosed with cancer. So apparently he was going in to get something what he thought was benign off of his prostate, ended up being diagnosed with cancer. Doesn't look like it's like life-threatening. He's an older guy, but doesn't look like anything that's life-threatening. So I think he will beat it. This is my take. I have a DraftKings future on him, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. Promo code RareCandy at DraftKings.com, 15% off your first gamble. But there's no. Everybody's like, he thinks smoothies and vegetables. He's one of those guys that thinks smoothies and vegetables cures cancer. And it's like this nasally, like, hey Arnold dork on the bus, like type voice. And I'm like, okay, first off, he's correct. Second off, he has a doctor. This guy, I'm going to play the clip in a second, but he has a doctor by the name of Michael Dixon. Dr. Michael Dixon is an Edinburgh, Scotland guy. Yeah. And he's got some, he's not as based as like when I thought he was like super bait when people were hating on him. I was like, oh shit, that sounds tight. The thing they were hating on. Then I looked up, I'm like, no, you guys are hating on like a slight variation.
Yeah.
Of what you guys believe in. And I'm like, why'd you guys build him up to be this based ass guy?
Yeah.
But here's the clip from whatever this news network is.
Therapy, he's always argued against it. He's a great believer in natural herbs and potions and things like that. So my guess is that at the moment he's taking advice from a man called Michael Dixon, who he's championed for many years, who headed his own, the King's Natural Alternative Medicine Institute, discredited by many people, but the King is a great believer in it. And I was always, last night, I was very surprised that people kept on saying, well, he's going to have chemotherapy or radiation or the rest of it. You know, he doesn't believe in it. He does not believe in it. It's a risk. I find it's a risk. And I think going to Sandringham is where he wants to take these alternative medicines in a quiet way.
Based. Sorry, based. I don't care. I'm not one of those crab dancing meme guys for people in power. I'm like, whatever. If you like tomorrow, if I found out Bill Gates was like, I'm not doing radiation chemotherapy and he had cancer, I'd be like, all right, let's see.
There's that bell curve of, you know, once you get super successful and wealthy, your doctors start to tell you like, no, don't do chemo, dude. They're like, no, it's fake, dude. Come on, you know what I mean? Where it's like, but in the middle, they're like, no, you need more of it.
You're a manager at this company.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to keep you alive.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. No, yeah, I mean, I don't know why anyone's surprised. King Charles has always been about, he's definitely, I mean, it was I don't know. I'm not like a stan of British royalty or whatever, but he's definitely about that organic life and always has been. And so my mom's always, she was like talking about King Charles, like, yeah, he's really into that stuff, you know, and she's always been talking about that. But potions, dude, I love that. Herbs and potions.
Yeah,
dude.
they go Harry Potter. Herbs and herbs.
It's like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, dude.
Hey, I think he's going to take a few herbs.
Yeah.
So they say it like that. It's like, all right, look, and it's like, okay, chemo. When we've done an episode on this, and I didn't even upload it to YouTube, but it's where our friend Gio came on for The Truth About Cancer. Now, The Truth About Cancer is a great documentary series by Ty Bollinger and his family, and it's got a lot of red pills on chemotherapy and things like that, and you can check that episode out. We talk about it a lot, but one of the main stats on that was people who do chemotherapy when they're diagnosed with cancer die within 5 years. Statistically, it's a statistical probability that they die within 5 years. Now, some people might say, well, cancer's that bad. We're not there yet. It's like, okay, then why do you hate on people who don't take the thing if we're not there yet?
Yeah.
Why do you hate on people taking it into their own hands?
Why is it standard of care? And the fact that they rig the numbers and lie about the standard of care to get that high, quote unquote, survival percentage, which isn't really a survival percentage. Why? Okay, so we're trusting the liars to poison our body. Got it. Okay, it's like,
right.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah, and if you're one of those people who got red pilled during COVID, as you should, take the full one. Do you trust these people to give you advice on a disease like cancer?
Yeah.
These people who told you, and we're going to get to some mRNA towards the end of this, but if those people were just flat out lying to you, being disingenuous, whatever degree of deceit that you're at with the medical industry, you're gonna let those people sit down when you have a disease as life-threatening as cancer, as we're told it is. Do you trust them to treat that with full, even if they're correct? Do you think they're looking at you and saying, I need to keep this person alive?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to at least think about it, right? Because what happens is like my grandma, who was ready to go. My grandfather had died a year prior, and my grandmother had been diagnosed with uterine cancer, pretty bad, to the point where she was like, yeah, I think we're done here.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Her husband, who was her life, she had spent the later parts of her life taking care of him as she should, and did a wonderful job, but kind of neglecting her own health. But probably in a subconscious way that when he dies, I'm ready to go too. Anybody who's married, anybody who has that special someone in their life, probably doesn't even look twice at what I just said. Just kind of like, yeah, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And she had that. The doctor still was like, you're gonna die in like a month, is what he told her, like a month and a half. Do you want to do chemotherapy?
Yeah.
She's like, no. He's
Yeah.
like, you sure? She's like, well, what are my odds? He's like, oh, you have no chance. you're toast. And he's like, there's just slim to none. She's like, so why would I do chemotherapy? Can you just fucking do it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Dude, fucking take the fucking shit. Come on.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop being weird.
I know.
Like Steve Jobs. Oh, Steve Jobs could have been living forever. Oh, okay. Maybe he could have. Maybe with chemotherapy, he could have gotten rid of the cancer. Now, we don't know what else would have happened. It might have come back more aggressively, as it does happen a lot. But there are certain people who are just okay with dying, and doctors still push chemotherapy. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
When that happens.
It's money.
Exactly.
In that case, it's not always money, but in that case, it's literally money.
It's money and just training. It's just these doctors are like, dude, upsell this. Like, this is like the fucking weird lightning cable adapter plug at the Apple store. And they're like, hey, do you want to add this to your thing? Like that's the degree of sincerity that they're pitching that to you. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I just wish people would look at this once again. Now, I'm saying I'm betting on King Charles. I think he's going to beat this. I think he looks good. I think it's all that. Doesn't mean I like the guy. I know nothing about the royal family. I know they're connected in all the weird stuff. I know they are
100%. Yeah.
However, if he beats that, what's going to happen is none of the treatments that he sought out will ever be credited for his win. The thing is they'll say, well, he's rich and he's drinking baby blood.
Yeah.
They'll say stuff like that. It'll be the weird Alex Jones thing. I'm not trying to disavow Alex Jones or anything like that, but I find it weird when people say they're having baby blood. No, they're doing holistic stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing that stuff. These people do these things. These people know the truth. They pitch
100%.
you they pitch you the fucked up stuff. That's what stuff they want you to do. They might have King Charles might even have some damn money in that stuff. I'm not even saying he doesn't. But when you see people that you think are untouchably elite doing things and you're like, psh, stupid. You're like, okay, if they're this elite person and they're this villain that you've built them up to be, this massive Sauron type villain.
Yeah.
Why do you hate what they're doing and as far as keeping themselves alive?
That's the thing. Well, I think there's I'm trying to think of examples. Okay, like when Trump got COVID and went to Walter Reed, right?
Yeah.
They were clearly doing, it was 50-50. I'm 50-50 on this, where they're clearly doing some normie stuff because that's just what you do if you're in a president in the hospital. You're bound to get some normie stuff, but they were clearly busting out some other crazy shit that normies don't get, so it's kind of like, I don't think they'll ever be full on hippie with it, but they're definitely they're like, dude, it works. Like, it fucking works. So we're gonna use this shit. Like it's we're past the point of optics at this point, and so I think it's yeah, they know, it's not, they think it's just like a hobbyist kind of thing or whatever, but this shit works for sure.
It does work.
Yeah.
And like I said, check out our episode, and we need to bring her back. I got a couple ideas for her. I think she was one of our better guests that we haven't brought back, to be honest.
Always been part of the RC family.
Yeah, Gio's a real one. She always has been. She read Blood Meridian, I think. At least I think she did.
Passed the gauntlet
and got through it. So she got through the gauntlet. So women, when I say women can't read Blood Meridian, take that as a challenge and pass the gauntlet.
Also, it's like, come on, is that book that hard? Like, no, I'm not taking it. Like, I'm just getting back to the.
It's not Brothers K. It's not any of these.
Yeah, people are acting like it's like they're not talking about Geo here. Not taking anything away from that.
No.
I'm just thinking of that first thing we were talking about. Like, I couldn't even get through it. It's like, why? It's like,
no, it's a you problem. And
Yeah,
I've always felt that way about books. And people will say, like, you've never given. I've a couple comments. People have been like, you've never given a book a bad review. I go, if I give a book a bad review, we're not covering it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the way it is. Like, if I'm ignoring certain things, it's just not going to happen.
From the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix. With that red candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, can't do shit.
Now, I wanted to talk about lab-grown meat for a second.
Yeah.
And, we don't have to spend too much time on this. It's not a super pressing matter, I don't think, because I don't think the lab-grown meat thing is actually kind of, I don't know. It just doesn't seem, it seems fake. I think when people say, what's that?
You're a little bit side-pilled on this, I think.
I think it's I guess what I'm trying to look at is, like, I saw this guy, it pops up every once in a while during these like weird current thing cycles where everybody's in unison that, like, this is gay. And I agree. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to eat like a chicken that was developed in like some Jay Leno car part lab, like out of cancer cells from a chicken. Agreed. But this guy's name was Chris Anderson. It's kind of funny. But this guy said, last night I was lucky to be among the first group in New York to get to taste chicken grown from a droplet of muscle cells. It was, all caps, delicious. Beta for you to say that like that. But succulent, moist, the right texture. Chicken as it should be. Even though full commercialization is way off, agreed, it made me excited for the future, and blah blah blah. It was all these things that everybody, I'm talking about from our dissident side, treated it as though we were being locked into our apartment for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's really weird. And I'm like, you guys don't understand, this is Reddit nerd shit. People that eat this are Reddit nerds. I don't think people are going to go to Wendy's and be like, "Can I have the 3D lab meat chicken sandwich?"
Also,
that's not a thing.
I'm just gonna put a soft number on this, probably higher. 80% of everyone that freaked out about that lab meat chicken eats the gnarliest, nastiest chicken, wallowing in its own shit with 100,000 other birds. They do not care about quality of chicken. It's like some weird mental thing. This is the vegan thing.
I know, because
coming out where I'm just like, you care about chicken all of a sudden. It's like you.
And I saw a clip of like how it was made, and it's funky as fuck. It looks like something from like a hobby store of like all this like weird glues and things happening like in a 3D printer and stuff. It was strange. But I'm like, okay, but if I showed you a video of how your chicken was made, random, like the chicken you buy from the store, if I showed you a video how that was made, like, you'd be impressed.
No, so that's exactly, if I may get on my soapbox a little bit here,
Yeah,
because okay, so let me just wind up. So there's this vegan activist group called DXC. It stands for Direct Action Everywhere, and they're even in the even in like the vegan community, they're generally known as cringe, right? They're
Right.
super intense, super like liberation type
James
thing,
Cromwell palm glued to
all that's
the creamer.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That like times 3,
Yeah.
like we're and I've just in
He
my
sucks. James
yeah.
Cromwell's a pussy. I got
Yeah,
way more sense than
100%. No, like literally. Okay, and in my meanderings, I've come across these guys, and like, including I think the head guy, who was like nice enough, and he's definitely, so this is a dude that gave up like a fucking 300K a year lawyer job to do this shit. He cares about this, right? He's not faking it, right? He's clearly about it. But anyway, so again, super cringe, super intense. No one ever wants to hang out with these guys because they're just like everyone's like, even other vegans are just like, okay, these guys are too intense with me. That being said, they're famous for they broke into a lot of the Whole Foods turkey factory farms and exposed all the 5-star humanely raised turkey was anything but, and like literally just turkey with like breasts missing, like just in squalor, just absolute fucking just living in their own shit in dark with like, thousands of other birds,
blood meridian for chickens.
Yeah, and so these guys put this on blast, and they had to sneak into like clip the locks and sneak into the factory to film this shit. And after they did, obviously Whole Foods. This is Whole Foods. This isn't even like Tyson. This is what I mean. And
Target chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So after this, obviously Whole Foods came under heat, and they cleaned up their act a bit more. Maybe, who knows if they really did. I bet they did. I bet they did clean up their act a bit more. But the whole point is like these guys who don't even eat turkey care more about the quality of your turkey than the people that eat it. Right. And these are Whole Foods shoppers. These are like, soccer moms that are just blowing, $2K a week at Whole Foods and stuff, right? Thinking they're getting good food. So I'm just like, no one cares. That's my big gripe with like the whole animal welfare and meat quality thing is none of you guys care. Like none of you guys care about food quality, because if you did, you would see you'd see these people as allies, but instead they're the cringe weirdos that are you know what I mean? And they are for sure, but they're not wrong. Dude, that's the other thing. People shouldn't eat birds that are living like that. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, and you have the people who might say like, okay, well, I would rather have the most disgusting factory owned chicken just for the fact that it was a chicken being killed.
And that's
put
fair.
on
At least that's honest.
Agreed in that sense. Now they might say, well, okay, I'd prefer if it was the other way around, but I think I want to eat nothing but, free range or grass fed, blah, 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 all the buzzwords. I want to know my butcher, want to shake his hand. That's another big thing. People say, shake the butcher's hand.
Yeah.
Not at the rate. I say this as a person who eats meat. I ate one of those like epic, like organic, spicy beef stick from Whole Foods things today. Like it does happen. But I say this as that. I don't believe, and you've said the math doesn't add up as well, I don't believe that we can eat meat at the consumption that we do, at the rate that we do, and have it be this based ethical, like your Tucker Carlson on X, like farmer that gets
even Rogan admits that.
Yeah, it's not. I'm saying the numbers don't add up. So it's like you need factory farming to eat at the rate that you do. The reason that you eat at the rate that you do, the reason that breakfast now has like meat in it compared to in the past where like that was just not really a thing. I'm sorry, it wasn't. Base people can say people did not used to eat meat for breakfast every single day. Like it just was not. It was not a thing back then. So eggs are different. People ate eggs, like, but I mean, like, as far as like meat and like just like slaughtered meat, that was just not the case. So for people to eat at that rate, like we would need factory farming. So I will say this: when you have factory farming, which again, let's look at who's an investor in lab grown meat. Tyson is an investor in lab grown meat. Wow, that's quite interesting. That they're the one investing in what you would think by the reaction of these people who are freaking out about lab grown meat. You would think that these people would be putting Tyson out of business, right?
Yeah.
So You would think that would be the case. But if it came down to two things, let's say that these people who are freaking out about lab-grown meat becoming the norm, other than the fact that these people work from home and are searching for things to get mad about because they're understimulated, let's just say that they are actually concerned about lab-grown meat being the norm.
Yeah.
Would they then go vegan if only lab-grown meat was available?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because like that's the thing. I don't think they would.
Yeah,
I would.
which is why I think everyone should be able to eat vegan without freaking out for a time.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed.
if you can't go vegan for like a month, you need to be able to learn how to do that, and you also need to be able to learn how to fast for 2 or 3 days without food. Like, if you can't do those basic steps, even, and I'm not. That's no joke. If omnivore works better for you, or even carnivore, or whatever, like, that's cool. That's, I think there's a wide variety of ways. A lot of ways to skin the cat, But it's like, if you freak out over the just idea of going plant based for like a couple weeks or something, like, you should probably learn how to do that just for your own sake, Because again, if you want to reverse a disease, you might have to. But yeah, that's a great. I think you pose a great question, and it's also, there seems to be like a lot of. So there's like Beyond Meat, which is just like a collection of ingredients, like plant ingredients, right? Very like coconut oil and cacao butter and pea protein and stuff, and which I think is not the most offensive. Like, it's definitely not a health food, but it's not horribly
There's no
offensive.
gums or like weird
Yeah.
things. Are
It's
there?
just there's canola oil, which I don't know why they like. I think they should just take that out. It's probably better without it. Where you just have
I think that's that
coconut
therein
oil.
lies the problem. There.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like most of the, like, if you're having like a protein smoothie with like some coconut like oil, and you cook your veggies in coconut oil, you're eating a lot of the same ingredients that you are
Right,
in
right.
like
Yeah, they're not
again, I'm not.
discussing white glove, like, handle them with care,
Nah.
like these people treat them with.
Yeah, I'm not defending that, but I think, and then there's like the 3D printed meat, which I've never had, which I think is a big. That apparently is. So I would actually rather eat the 3D printed meat than the lab meat, because again, the 3D printed meat is just a technique of, and again, I probably never will, but if gun to my head, because it's just a way of assembling the food in a way. The lab meat is the one where you need, the whole giant, you need to exercise it with equipment. You need, that's the other thing about lab meat is that's what Serena talks about, is like, you need to exercise it like a muscle, and that takes energy input, just like going to the gym or something, right? Or like running a machine would. So there's all these different levels of it, and I don't know. I don't think it's going away. I don't know. I don't think people will reject it as much as like the based Twitter sphere thinks people will. Like, I think it will be adopted. And again, but the funny thing is, most health vegans won't touch this stuff, which is ironic. Like, it's, we're already not eating meat, and we're already just eating the things we enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
And oatmeal for breakfast and just shit like that. So I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, I don't think there's enough resources for everyone to be getting down the way they are.
Yeah. So, wanted to talk about one other thing before we move on to our voicemail hotline. There was a post about Gardasil, which look, again, I didn't take it, thank God. I know some guys did take the HPV vaccine. Yeah, kind of crazy. That
okay, I understand if you're not a guy, but if you come on, man,
it's a guy. Like, that's what I mean. Like, they made guys take it. Like, that was crazy. Or not made, but like they were like, you should. And they,
that's Soros being like, do you think we could get him to do it? He's just like a bet on the golf course.
Like, that was the start of like real transgender shit. It was like making guys take Gardasil. Yeah, that was the start of like the real like transgender TM, but there was a woman named Jessica Rojas, gets a lot of hate, at Cat Scare Me 2021. It's kind of a weird username. I'm not gonna lie, but she's got a bigger account. She does post some base stuff on there. So, but she says, "Did you know that the Gardasil trials used aluminum hydroxide as the quote placebo, and 1 in 733 trial participants died in the clinical trials for Gardasil? 1 in 733 died, and there were 29,323 subjects in the clinical trial. One trial of 594 used a true saline placebo. The others used an aluminum adjuvant as control.
Yeah.
There was no true placebo in those trials because aluminum is in the vaccine. Hey, controversial alert, but it is to ramp up the immune response. So therefore, it cannot be placebo. There were 40 deaths, 21 in the vaccine group and 19 in the aluminum group. 29,323 divided by 40, 733. Right?
Yeah.
So does that math check out? I just want to make sure she's right. Like, does that check out to you?
Yeah, and she's just right about the placebo thing, because the whole damaging thing theorized by these shots is the metals, and that's the thing that produces. So if you're taking something that produces an immune response, it by definition can't be a placebo. That's exactly right on point.
Yeah, exactly.
It's affecting you medically, right? Yeah, it's so
Yeah. There were no deaths in the saline group. If you subtract them, the death rate goes to 1 in 718. Merck says it's coincidence, and the deaths were no higher than what would be expected in the general population. They say that because there was no statistical difference between the vaccine experimental group and the aluminum control group. The most frequent cause of death was motor vehicle accident with 9 deaths total. So essentially, like, this was something that was rolled out. Definitely, like, I felt like it was our generation. It was like a big Gardasil kind of rollout HPV thing. They didn't do that at our high school. And if they did, I wasn't a part of it. But I just thought it was kind of interesting. Like, we kind of are this like millennial woman thing. Like, people love to complain about, birth rate, all these things like soyification and all these things of the millennial generation. And I'm not saying a lot of that isn't true. However, when you are essentially doing this like weird, like Margaret Sanger incarnate stuff to everybody when they're kids, it's got repercussions.
Yeah, it is a millennial thing. I think I definitely know some people that were injured by this, and we're in extreme denial about it, but it's pretty clear what happened, and and this is all to supposedly prevent cancer when you're 80 years old too, right? The HPV
exactly
thing.
like
that's great.
I remember human papillomavirus. I remember hearing that all the time. All these women, like, they would put a woman with like a Latina accent. They'd
Human
be like,
papillomavirus.
yeah,
like
you might get a
Mac
human papillona. You're gonna have a bull in front of you, and you're gonna wave the towel, and he's gonna get you though instead of the towel. Like human papillona bulls virus, and like that would be this commercial.
virus.
Yeah, the virus is going to get you, and you need to get the Gardasil, and but that would be the way. I think their numbers were low on that demographic, but no, it's a thing. And when you look at the problems that our generation is with like fertility and all these things, like, I'm not going to say that it's 100% a pharmaceutical thing, but it was like there were a lot of weird pharmaceutical operations that were happening similar to what we saw in 2020 without the quite the fear model behind it.
I think they were trying to mandate this one for
definitely,
like, for boys in Texas, which is great. You wouldn't think that would. I remember that happening, that being a thing back in the day, which is so dumb. Like, you're mandating a shot that could maybe prevent some cases of cancer like 50 years from now. Like I
Yeah.
understand, I disagree, but I understand the logic behind mandating like a shot, like chicken pox or whatever, because we don't want it to spread in the school. But this has nothing to do with that. It's like literally not
No.
even rationalized. Yeah, it's crazy. No, 100%. Yeah, so this is definitely connected to the COVID thing, like you were saying. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's funny how whenever they do these tests and let's say car accidents do increase, which one of the side effects of these shots is seizures and stuff. It
I've
could be
seen it happen.
related.
I've
It
seen it
could be,
happen
yeah,
before
it
in
could
real life.
100%, right? Yeah. But whenever whenever the narrative doesn't go their way, the drug companies are always like, "Oh, it's just coincidence, just background noise." But then whenever it goes in their direction, they're like, "See, see," it's like total clear. It's like total. It's not a two-way street. Basically,
Yeah,
it's very
and
easy
I'd
to
love to
see.
know the origins of HPV. Actually,
Let's
like
go.
that's what I'd
Yeah,
want. I'd want to know. If anybody's got anything to send me, please.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's hit the voicemail hotline. We got a voicemail. This is a two-parter. And here we go.
Hey, fellas. Long time, first time. So I was recently heard the Brett Weinstein appearance on Tucker on X, and that was very, very good listen for anyone who hasn't heard it. But it got me thinking that I should see what the fellas at Rare Candy have to say about this. Yeah, I guess first of all, it was just about generally immigration. Brett went down to Central America to see how it is. And, you don't have to get into specific politics or anything, like border bills or whatnot. But I'm just a guy in the Midwest. So I'm not directly involved in, being out west or, on a border town or, like all Glenn's, Mexican coworkers or whatnot. So I was just wondering if there were any, opinions, things you're seeing, experiences that you have with legal or illegal immigration that you just don't see in the news or people aren't talking about, or, any interesting, possibilities that you might have that just aren't well known, or whatnot. And I guess secondly, at the end, Brett talked a little bit about, mRNA vaccines and had a very, very, very interesting, theory or possibility. So yeah, if either of you have any other takes about that, seems like a very good conspiracy. Yeah, I'm sure lots of interesting, things. So, yeah, keep up the good work. Love the show, and, bye.
So
Great
before
question.
I get going, that's the two great questions, and we will answer them both. The hotline number 510 East Bay area code 256-9850 510-256-9850. We're gonna need some voicemails coming up soon because we have Scott's gonna come on again on our Substack feed. The coast to coast thing, volume 4 will be happening within the next month, and we like to hear any kind of weird things about high strangeness, just weird things, synchronicities, odd things you might have seen something weird in the sky. We want to know about it. All types of weird paranormal
Mothman.
stuff. Yeah, any of that stuff. Yeah, any of that. If you have a Mothman thing, please come on the show. We'll talk. But but for the most part, yeah, 510-256-9850. Also, anytime you hear something in this episode, like any of these episodes, we do so much stuff, whether it's on a Gain of Fiction or anything. Like if you're just like, either I disagree or I agree, a comment, anything like that, go ahead and leave a voicemail on there, and it'll get aired on the show. Now, for what he was saying, he brought up the border and immigration. So what I hate about this thing that's happening around all this border stuff, right, is a political pawn. It's this big, immigrants are just this big political pawn for both sides. However, one side I think has a coherent policy, and I do think the right is coherent on what they want.
100%.
The left is viewing this as like a punishment, what they're doing. And that's what I hate. And where I'm like, if this is an American empire, if I'm paying taxes, if I'm living in an American empire, and you're operating from a position of guilt and asking your, no joke, the biggest demographic in, which is white people, in the United States, to operate from a position of guilt, it's not sustainable. Because that's what you're saying. Every time that somebody's like, hey, what if immigration was like, they're like, what are you, racist?
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
hate
stole the
it.
land. Like, you stole the land. So like anything you do, you need to be giving things back. You need to be doing all these things. It's like, that is not sustainable.
And
Now,
it's getting so ludicrous now that it's people are starting to
ridiculous.
see beyond
Yeah.
that. Like
I think
ludicrous, dude. Like
I
fucking
actually
crazy.
think it's a fucked up ass thing. Like, for their election, I think they fucked up like really bad,
Yeah.
just being so
Yeah.
just like kind of nonchalant about their approach to this, where it's like, because no, for real, like, there you can hear in an MSNBC Democrat who cares nothing more. They don't care about anything. They don't care about the actual people that they're letting in.
Yeah.
They just they ascribe it to a food thing. They're like, you don't want food?
Yeah.
Like, what was always they tell you, you don't want you want to just eat dry unseasoned chicken?
Yeah.
This is why we need immigrants. Like, that's their,
It's like a big it's like when we were like a big 90s.
yeah.
Which I will say, like, well, go finish what you're saying. I want to have some
Well,
thoughts.
I mean,
Yep.
it's the thing, but like, okay, but there's Mexicans here that'll learn how to cook it. So, what? I mean, what, like, really, like, we'll go to a Chinese restaurant. Like, there's Mexican guys back there.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, like, nobody's saying. I mean, not nobody, but the opposition is not. We need 100% white ethno state, like, of the United States. The idea is that we need to decide when we want to become a country. When do we decide that, like, okay, we're set? We're set.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're not industrial. We are industrializing, and I have issues with the further industrialization of America. But like, at the end of the day, we're not doing this mass expansion the way, we were during the Ellis Island days and things like that, and just like truly trying to make, like, America happen. Like, at this point, America has happened, so let's sustain America. And I don't think that is just bombing out other countries and then taking refugees. Just leave the Mexican stuff out right now. In the Bay Area, I've heard constant things about, like, since America has pulled out of Afghanistan, and I'm not saying pulling out of Afghanistan is the problem. What I'm saying is being there for years and years and years has been the problem. There have been like 6-digit immigrant Afghan refugees coming to the Bay Area. It's like, look, I'm not saying there's definitely a lot of money in the Bay Area, but under the current construct, all that does is cheapen labor. It ups gig economy. It does a lot of things that fuck over the average American citizen. And what the average American citizen is asked to do is operate from a position of guilt. And that's what I don't like about any of this stuff.
100%. I got some thoughts on this, but did you see the Stephen A. Smith reaction?
No.
Dude, so New York City and like Mayor Eric Adams is unveiling this policy where they're giving like $50 million worth of debit cards to people that like just come in,
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, it's kind of like EBT, like you can only use it on food and this much per week or baby stuff and everything. And Stephen A. Smith went, who's like not fucking not a Tucker Carlson by any
he's a libtard. Yeah, he's a libtard.
He went off. He's like, dude, what the fuck? Like we're like we can't even feed each other in this country, and we're just doing this, And he snapped for like 10 minutes. It was hilarious, dude. So I think the tide is kind of turning, and again, I'm definitely very aligned with the coherent, like on the right. I think they got this figured out. I definitely think so. And again, growing up in California. And again, rare candy's we love Mexicans.
I think, dude, they agree with us on this, by the way.
But I just remember growing up, and it seemed there's something nefarious about what's happening now with it. That's very different. Growing up, I remember all the arguments. Yeah, like that's why the food is cheap, because we have cheap labor and all this different stuff. And we knew. And for the record, I personally lived amongst those day laborers for the better part of 10 years. Like me and my mom, especially my mom, I would go visit her. I was like coming in out of school and stuff like that. We lived right there in the middle of the strawberry fields. Like, Glenn, it's like we were there. And so those people are the homies, man. They're cool. They literally just want to support their families. They're good people, hardworking. What's happening now? First of all, the amount is just way too much. Like it's just
Yes.
unsustainable.
It's not
But the
real.
other
This is the
thing,
thing. We're not a real country right now doing
no.
this. Yeah.
And the other thing, what Brett Weinstein was talking about, and I was listening to him a couple on that segment, and then on the Rogan thing, and he's like these people don't. There's something different. There's something nefarious, like almost social engineering, like George Soros type of
Yep.
thing, where they're they're coming here and they're throwing up like the middle finger, like they're like fuck you. They're not trying to like be cool or like
Yeah.
or assimilate or anything. It's like this. It's almost like they're sent here to destabilize in a way. And again, even if they weren't, it's just the sheer number is just like pretty crazy. But again, it's like the whole you can't. It's one of those things you can't question any of this without being called the R word, and it's
Yeah. Republican. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Which is
But
the
it's
other R word. Yeah.
but I do think people, and again, I love the like Governor Abbott shipping people to fucking New York
Yeah,
City.
it's smart.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's fucking
You have a
amazing.
plan. You have a plan. Show me.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's the way I look at it. It's smart. People can say, "Well, these people are pawns." No, they were brought in here as pawns. So if I decide to throw the pawn somewhere else, you can't get mad at me. Now, no, okay. What I look there, I don't have as hard line of a stance on this as everyone else. However, it is the reality. Immigration, rapid immigration, especially cheapens labor. It is objective. You will always find the gig economy that we have right now is not sustainable if everybody was born here.
No.
I'm sorry. It's just not the same. The idea of constant immigration is great for progressivism because nobody remembers how things used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have, and again, the actual immigrant that's here isn't the person that is look, they're here, they're putting their head down, they're working, whatever. It is what it is. Now you also have other people that come here to get benefits because California just inexplicably just gives benefits to undocumented workers. They do. And guess what those undocumented workers are asked for in a patronage program to vote Democrat. It's a scam. It's what happens. It keeps California blue. It does. I'm sorry. It does. And then like I said, the white liberal population is asked to cape for these people out of guilt, not out of sincerity, but out of guilt.
Yeah.
So there's this
which is a big part of the strategy.
That's why The Curse is one of the best shows I've seen in years, despite the ending. Like it's just it has pointed out that the ultimate curse is not so much the ultimate curse, but also the thing that keeps a bad establishment alive is guilt among its biggest population. So you like that's my issue with it. I wish people would admit the trade-off, right? Okay, we need to have this multi-ethnic blah 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 whatever buzzword democracy, insert buzzword,
which we already have. We already have that.
But they want more and more because people think that there's just nothing but white mass shooter rapists in the world because we've redefined every one of those terms I just said was redefined in the last 10 years to fit perfectly with today's society with the same alarm to the term, even though it's been watered down. And people that want that to happen and people that don't want that to happen, some people come at it from a racist sense, whatever. Like again, you're here, you need to stop apologizing for being here. So I don't know, I just can't I can't get down with the fact that people are like, oh, it's it's a form of globalizing the world and making it into one big ghetto, like where everything becomes the third world, right? Everything becomes a third world, and the true 1% thing happens. Like
when do we just shore up our infrastructure?
Exactly.
When do we do that, dude? Like when
because I will say, if people that are like playing 5D chess on Trump and say he's controlled opposition, all these things, like he's in it and everything, I'm not quite there, but like I can understand people that are. It maybe his role is to make nationalization bad and scary. Like America first, make America great, like all these things, because then you just get like 10 of these like random Netflix movies about how America's really just not good at all. So we just need constant immigrants. Because you saw the Jesus commercial during the Super Bowl, right? Like the one that happened where it was all the AI art pictures of Jesus washing like YG's feet, I think. in LA. I don't know, something like that. But he's washing all these people. Like Jesus was washing all these non-white people's feet. And it was like, hey, if you believe in Jesus, like he would love the current thing. And he would love mass immigration and workers not making any money because we don't have even a slight count of who's in this country. Even though my job can tell when I've started by a QR code to start the truck that I've done all these things. We somehow shouldn't keep track of who actually comes in and out of the country.
Also, why are they the only ones that get out of the vaccine mandates? Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It's like
Let's be real. A lot of them will take it to get this thing. Like I think after a while you get desperate beyond morals, and there's also this. I think that becomes a thing too. But what I mean is, like, why is it that like we're just asking for the same scrutiny that we get our day-to-day jobs? And like the whole like driver's licensing to vote, it's like that was a big deal.
I know.
To just prove,
that's always been so dumb, dude.
Like
that's always been
prove. Like in
even when I was super libbed out, I was like, what? That makes no sense. I was like, that's so dumb, dude.
It's fair. It just seems fair. Like, it just seems like a good check and balance kind of thing to happen. Yeah, like, exactly. So I just hate the fact that like we have to dance around. We have to do all this like little etiquette stuff for all this, and we need people to operate from a position of guilt to sustain this thing. And I just hate the fact that like people that have just been here putting their heads down and working are now like the villains of all of this, because everyone sees it. I talk about it all, like I talk with people all the time, even people that have all sorts of politics are just like, it's getting kind of weird. And
the energy is off. The vibe is it's different. It's different than the late 90s. I feel I don't know, maybe it's not, but
slippery. And I'll listen to a slippery slope argument about that being an issue too. I just know right now it's especially weird. I just know that. I know it's like maybe perhaps even isolated, just odd. And so let's listen to last thing. Let's listen to the mRNA question. I have a clip from the Tucker interview with Brett Weinstein, so I just want to hear him out, and we'll close with this.
There was I was recently at a conference in Romania on the COVID crisis, and so there was a lot of work trying to unpack what we actually understand, and I saw a credible estimate of something like 17 million deaths globally from this technology. So
17 million deaths from the COVID vax?
Well, when you scale up to billions, it's not hard to reach a number like that with a technology this dangerous. Now, to your deeper question, I think let's steel man.
So just for perspective, I mean, that's like the death toll of a global war.
Yes, absolutely. This is a great tragedy of history. So that proportion. And amazingly, there is no way in which it's over. I mean, we are still apparently recommending these things for healthy children. Never stood any chance of getting any benefit from them. Every chance of suffering harms that are not only serious, but tragic on the basis that children have long lives ahead of them. If you ruin a child's immune system in youth, they have to spend the rest of their presumably shortened life in that state. So never made any sense that we were giving this to kids in the first place. The fact that we're still doing it when the emergency, to the extent there even was one, is clearly over. And when there's never been any proper justification of administering it to healthy kids. It just, healthy kids don't die of COVID. And the shot doesn't prevent you from catching or transmitting it. So there was just literally no justification you could come up with.
I'm glad we got that guy's promo video at the end, but
I was gonna let that ride. That was hard.
No free shout outs. Shout out Will Compton. But first off, I will just already give a caveat to what he's saying. Even if the vaccine was safe and effective, I wouldn't mandate it for anybody.
No.
That needs to be said for everybody. Always needs to make that thing. Well, it's like, this is not shown to work, and I understand that argument as far as not mandating it, but I still believe in personal choice out of all of it. I think people should be allowed to die of something if they want to,
100%.
or if they decide to abstain from a certain medical intervention. That's their choice to make. So, on top of everything he's saying, which I think 99% of what he's saying is amazing and great and using a platform for good, despite what the Tucker Carlson kind of Alan X haters are saying during this election year. But like, the 17 million, do you believe that number? 17 million it seems a little high.
Yeah, so I dug into it a little bit when this was first going off, and I think he knew that would cause a kerfuffle. That night number itself, I believe he's citing another guy who's a legit research scientist, maybe a professor, I don't know, who's by no means. This is what I got from it, at least, is by no means, like, even from our perspective, like a COVID lunatic kind of guy, like some weird, like graphene oxide kind of guy or whatever, like just like the out there, kind of thing. Who's kind of a normal dude, and he came to that conclusion through some pretty rigorous math, right? But again, even if he's off by a factor of 4, right, that's still millions of people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And we know we know it killed some people.
sure.
We know it wasn't 0,
You know
right?
people
So
harmed. I know people harmed.
yeah, and again, that's the other thing is like if we know it gives the CDC admits it gives myocarditis, so and we know that can shorten your life, like that permanently damages your heart muscles, which don't recover like other muscles do, right, or other body tissue. So again, the fact that, again, like you said it perfectly, we're still recommended this 6-month-olds, dude, is like still the recommendation in the United States,
Yeah,
right? 2-year-olds, right? It's insane. Um, so I'm just, yeah, and again, I think Kirsch would probably say that number is correct. Kirsch, rare
I
candy
think
gets Kirsch.
I think Brett is going off of the Kirsch number. I feel like.
Yeah, and again, the fucked up thing. This is like the worst silver lining of all time is that time will tell, because more people will continue to get these shots, and more people will presumably die from it. But
They're even saying
yeah,
that Navalny guy, like there's even
yeah,
that guy that died, the one that Bono was like crying over in the Sphere
yeah,
towards, but he was yeah, he's like, oh, Alexander Navalny, oh.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was just like he was just like crying, but there's even a thing where it's like, well, the guy died of like, he died of a heart related issue.
It's always, dude, died
Yeah,
suddenly.
so it was a
Yeah,
kind of a died suddenly thing, and he was actually in Germany while getting vaccinated, and the people were like, "Well, Russia doesn't use the mRNA tech," but they were like, "Well, but Germany does," and that was
yeah,
look. I haven't looked into this. I'm not making a claim. What I'm saying is that everybody noticed it. Everybody noticed that at the very least that this thing didn't work, right? You see all the weird, insane long COVID people who are now that the virus has mutated down, even despite our interventions, which have prolonged it. I will say that much, have prolonged its actual existence and actual utility, I should say, for the powers that be. There are still people who truly believe in, staying home, never, welding
yeah,
yourself into your apartment, which we're talking to, shout out Doug, but talking to Doug about it, just saying, like, I think it could go from 2 to 5% of the population is like fully bought in on that for life.
yeah.
Just that the
Oh,
true,
the
like, I took 55 PCRs this month and 4 came back positive, like those people.
the
Like,
hypochondriac
yeah, the
vibe. Yeah,
real hypochondriac, but like, now thank God for all these great DoorDash inventions. Like, I can actually live
yeah,
this life. It's catered, this life is quite literally catered to. But what I mean is those people now don't use deaths from COVID as
yeah,
the scary thing. They use long COVID, which again, you and I we've talked to people that have been like, well, look, long COVID can be a thing. These things have long haul symptoms. There's cures to it. However, those cures were suppressed, and
yeah.
all that.
It's a it's a real thing, but the people that shout loudest about it are
Yeah.
the worst people ever, and they never want to cure it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody who's seeking a long COVID cure is automatically based, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like all the long COVID screechers are believed the Rolling Stones ivermectin gunshot wound story for some weird reason. It's like,
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
a lot of people have used ivermectin to reverse long COVID, but that's bad because again, a lot of these people, I'm not talking about the elite or whatever, or the people that are like really, running the show, but just people that bought in. A lot of people, again, this is very common. I think even in my personal life, we all have this to certain degrees. We are we don't want our problems to go away because that's boring, right? It's boring to
Yeah.
have a good. It's like long COVID is such a juicy. Oh, long COVID, it's like it's such a scary thing, right? And it's like, oh, what if you just took a antiviral for that won the Nobel Prize for a couple weeks, and then boom, it's done. Oh shit! Then your floor is all of a sudden out underneath you because you don't have a
Yeah.
thing to fight against anymore, right?
Yeah, it
And it's
becomes your
like,
identity. If you're a white
yep,
person, like I'm sorry, like a white
yep.
person in the society needs either needs a disability or
Which gender? Which
yeah,
gender? No, just kidding.
disability, some kind of thing, some kind of flag to put like out there to say like I'm actually not just a white person. Like so like when these things it becomes this kind of like actually my disabilities are like really a good thing. Like they're actually this thing that makes me who I am because otherwise I'd be just a regular white person.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing for people. Like
Mhm.
you see that happen a lot. And like that's why I laugh when you'll see like leftists like, and these are just like Twitter leftists, but you'll see people like saying like, man, I think leftists like we gotta fight the fascist right wing. We gotta like work out and shit. Like we gotta get big. Like these right wingers are big. And someone's like, actually, actually, I have fucking fibromyalgia.
Yeah,
And
COPD.
yes, COPD, and I'm 22 years old.
Yeah.
Like I can't, like Stevie from Malcolm in the Middle,
Yeah.
like, and like, and
I know
like,
you can't even like give the
yeah.
slightest
Being a
recommendation.
leftist means you have to constantly think about somebody in an iron lung
Dude,
before
it's
you say
bad.
an obvious thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what that means. Like and like all I'm saying is like, look, all anybody who wants to be sick for life, they can be sick. I'll leave them to it. But like, stop asking for mass societal changes because you're scared to go outside.
That's the
And
thing is like, and my whole is like, there's clearly sometimes you get dealt a bad hand and some things are out of your control. But also, I'm just wondering,
yeah,
like, there's always more than you can do than what you think you can do, and most
mhm,
people are just do
yeah,
not
yeah.
want to put in the work,
It's like
to
obesity. It's like obesity. When somebody like rattles on, I'm like, what? Harper's Bazaar. What are you eating a day? And you're like,
I know.
I have
It's
eliminated
just
1,800 calories right now from just what you've told me.
I know.
Like, and like,
So
and you're just
easy.
like, if you want to make the change, I will. But like, it sounds like you just want to be fat and sad,
Dude,
And it's
that's the
like
thing.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just on another tangent. I'm kind of because for years I was a calorie is not a calorie, bro. You know that
yeah.
like which is true. I think there's
There's
certainly
good and bad, of
there's
course.
good and bad. But then I started hearing the other perspective a little bit more because there's always that Reddit guy that's like, I ate 1,800 calories of Twinkies and I still lost weight. It's calories in, calories out, and it's like, but but I gotta say, man, I like when you look at the numbers, like we're literally eating 1,000 more calories a day today
Yeah,
than we were in the 70s, and it's like,
with less intensive work.
yes, and it's like, yo, maybe that's a big reason why it's like it's probably
Yeah,
not just like seed oils or something. Like again, I don't
right.
eat seed oils or whatever,
Yeah,
but I'm just
right,
like,
right. Yeah,
it's just like, come
exactly.
on, maybe it's the 1,000 extra fucking calories a day,
100 and lack of stimuli and the least
dude.
amount of movement that
It's
we've
insane.
had. Like it's just right.
Yeah.
So, but like with the mRNA tech, it's just like, look, like I know it's bad. We both abstain from it. Like,
Uh-huh.
and I don't even like being like oh, I was right. We were so right. Well, we were though. We talked about it for nonstop for about a year straight about how bad this was going to be. And
Mhm.
I don't get excited when people die of it. I don't get excited when people have this gray area death where everyone's like, no, 38-year-old, it must have been, this and that. Like, no, like I don't get excited about that. It's
It's
sad.
super weird what's happening. It's still super
It's
weird.
super weird. So like you talk about, both of the things that Brett Weinstein's bringing up, immigration and the pharmaceutical industry, have they ever been for our benefit? I'll listen to an argument from either side.
Mhm.
But are they extra bad now? Yes.
Mhm.
Are
Yeah.
they like right now, the immigration that we see is not meant to like make America better. It's meant to make
No.
America more chaotic and weird.
Yeah.
And like even from the other side where it's like I see the mass crime thing that people are like the crime from the border, all
Mhm.
that stuff. Like that it just leads to more surveillance to me and like less human rights. And in the same way I see like from both sides, I just see like when people are like, well, I have natural immunity, I shouldn't have to take the vaccine. Like when they say things like that, you're like, okay, so you're saying I should have to prove my natural immunity everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Like there's always still
Exactly.
this like from both sides, I see these things that are just still buying into the current regime a little bit. And for my thing is like I have a hardline stance against like most pharmaceutical inventions. In fact, most
Yeah.
inventions of the last 10 years are not for our benefit. Like truly, like the average just regular healthy person like hasn't been. I don't think we're becoming healthier as innovation goes on. I think we're going to get these 3D we're going to get this Neuralink stuff that maybe to the average person's like, wow, what a great innovation. This is going to be like sci-fi movies where I can just get rid of brain cancer by putting a chip in. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, well, on that note, I there's not much more that needs to be said about that. That was this. There's no way this lasts on YouTube. I'm gonna put it on there. I'm gonna get a strike. I think it's worth a strike. I think this episode is worth a strike on YouTube. I think it was that good.
Yeah.
Coming up on Gain of Fiction, we have Stanislaw Lem's Solaris, paired with the Tarkovsky film of the same name from 1972. Really great book. I'm I'm a little over halfway done with it. I'm just, to be honest, kind of floored. It's very, very Crichton, Patient Zero, like Iron Crichton, Iron Curtain, kind of like Eastern European version, kind of a little more cold and detached version, less capitalist version of Crichton, trying to sell millions and millions. Like it's really good stuff. So that's coming up. Also going to do Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers at some point, and Samuel Delaney's Dahlgren. That's all coming up on Gain of Fiction. A lot of sci-fi fantasy, but I think we do really well in that genre. And listen to the Blood Meridian episode. Listen to the Prince episode. If you're on Apple and Spotify, and you don't want to support us beyond anything that can be just a couple touches on your phone, that's fine. But please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give us a rating and a review. And that really helps. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in the bio of all of our social media. Just go ahead and subscribe, even if you don't watch there. That really helps us out. We've got merch and all that stuff. And on that note, everybody, have a safe week.